Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to All Soccer All Day. Thank you for tuning in and listening with us. I'm your boy Stevie Mack. I'm here in Chicago, and with me, as always, my best friend and a very, very knowledgeable gentleman in Los Angeles, Eric D. How you doing, Eric D?
Wow, I'm doing all right after that intro. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind words.
Well, you know,
I need to do something myself.
Yeah, well, I think you know some stuff about the game, you know? I think you know some stuff about the game.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, don't mess up this time, okay? The Galaxy played this last Thursday, okay, fool?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get it right. Look at the calendar in front of me.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, you know, like, we totally listen back to our own podcast, and we totally pick apart our own show. We know we don't always get every single thing right, but, you know, it's all good. We're having fun talking about the beautiful game. So, you know, thank you again for listening. Please subscribe on our website, which is allsoccerallday.com. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/allsoccerallday. Please check us out on all the, you know, anywhere you can find a podcast: iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn. Of course, you can listen on All Soccer, Snapchat, Google Plus. Something that really helps us out, by the way, if you would, please just click that 5-star rating. Give us 5 stars. Even if you don't think we're 5 stars, give us 5 stars, because someday we're going to be 5 stars for you, okay? But,
yes, sir.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It really helps us out, so please help us out. One more thing. We are trying to raise $10,000 so we can send some kids that are in some difficult life situations to California to play a tournament that they would otherwise not ever be able to go to. We also want to get them some brand new kits. So if you check out our fundraiser, it would be so cool if you just donate a couple bucks. Anything helps. So, you know. Eric D., do you have anything that you would like to add before we start getting into our news and notes here at the beginning of our show this week?
Putting me on the spot again. No, I think I'm ready to get stuck in.
All right, that sounds good. Let's do this. All right, guys, welcome back to All Soccer All Day. This is Stevie Mack here in Chicago. With me, as always, Eric D. in Los Angeles. How you doing, sir?
What is up? Que pasa, mi gente?
Yes, all right. So we are going to get into our news and notes section now, where mainly we're going to be talking about some of the transfers that have been going on around the world. Just some kind of highlight ones that are going on. We'll start local, so we'll start here in the United States. As you may know, if you don't know, Cincinnati FC is coming up from the USL, and they will be joining Major League Soccer, the MLS, next season. Will be their first season. So big ups to them. You know, growth of the MLS is always good for everybody, and it's great for United States soccer. So we have 2 players from some other teams that have been transferred to Cincinnati FC. One of them is from the San Jose Earthquakes. Alashe is going to be going over to Cincinnati, but the bigger name is a striker from the Portland Timbers, Fernando Adi, who really kind of made a name for himself. I'd say probably 2 years ago is when he really kind of came onto the scene. Last year he was definitely a big part of Portland and their attack. What are your thoughts on Adi going to Cincinnati? Do you think this is a big signing for them? How do you feel about this, Eric D?
Yeah, most definitely. I do. It gives FC Cincinnati a true number 9. He could be a star striker for them. It's in some ways I'm kind of surprised Portland let him go, but I guess he wasn't figuring in Savarisi's plans, as obviously they have a new manager this season, and he asked to leave. So
yep,
they made it happen. I mean, it's good for us.
I think that he really didn't want to share time up top. Probably. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. You know, if he goes over to Cincinnati, he's definitely going to be getting starting play time, and he was having to compete quite a bit in Portland, and so it's not a huge surprise that Adi made that move. It's probably a smart move for him for sure, and definitely Cincinnati is going to benefit from having someone like Adi on their team.
Yeah.
Going into this is kind of still a little bit local. So one of the players from NYC, an MLS soccer player, goes to Europe. It's a really great thing for United States soccer because it's showing that the talent pool is widening. Teams in Europe are taking note, and they're watching the skill level come up, and they're willing to take some players over from the MLS and put them into their system. And of course, that definitely benefits United States soccer. So Jack Harrison, who is signed with Manchester City, is on loan right now to Leeds United, which is in the second division in England. And I'm sure that obviously going on loan is actually a big positive for Jack Harrison. So hopefully he gets some playing time. Obviously going to Man City, you're probably not going to get too much time on the field, just because of course, all the talent on Man City. But I think this is a great move for Jack Harrison. I think going over to Europe after having a good little stint here in the United States is going to be really great for him. I hope that he develops as a player at Leeds United. And, Leeds United was trying to make a push into the Premier League, so we'll see if they end up getting into the Premier League at the end of this season. Maybe, I don't know how the loan, what the terms of the loan are, if it's just a season or if it's just a few games. I actually don't know the details. But anyway, either way, Jack Harrison playing in Europe is a big deal, playing in the Premier League and or in the second division. So any thoughts on that? Jack Harrison going over to England?
Well, I believe he'll have to play. Like, if he's not playing, it's going to be a waste of time. I'd actually be concerned if he's not starting for Leeds United.
Right.
I've heard people mention before that the Championship, second division there in England, is very comparable to the MLS. People have compared the quality of play at Championship and MLS to be very similar. So I feel like if he could play for New York City FC, he should be able to play for Leeds United, I would think, and help them hopefully push towards promotion to the Premier League. Yeah, it's a good move for him because he's not going to see the field for Manchester City.
No. He saw a little bit of the field in the ICC. He got some touches, and that's great. Even just stepping on the field with second teams with these other big name teams from Europe and getting on the field with them, it's a big step, so exciting for him for sure. Okay, going around to some of the other highlights. Golovin, the Russian player who made a little name for himself in the World Cup, has been transferred to Monaco, which is definitely a big step up for him. He was playing the Russian league, and now he's going to be going over to France with a well-known, well-established team at Monaco. So props to him. You got anything to add for Golovin going over to Monaco, Eric D?
Good move for the player. It's definitely a step up, like you said, and hope he does well.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have a new Brazilian in Barcelona. Malcolm is going to Barcelona. He is a midfielder, and we're hoping, as far as Barca goes, it's going to be interesting to see how they develop over the next few years. There's going to be a lot of little shuffling around, I believe, especially with the people going in and out of Barca right now. And kind of looking into the future, obviously Messi, not saying he's anywhere near done playing for Barca. I mean, he loves his football there, so who knows how many years he has still, and he's still a great player, so no doubt. But this could be like that up and coming generation where we start to see some new talent come through with Barcelona. So Anything to add on that transfer itself? Gotcha.
To tell you the truth,
yeah, that's all good.
I don't. Yeah, is he? I think he's a midfielder.
Yeah. Yeah, midfielder coming in, kind of fighting for a spot there. We'll see what happens, but he's gotten some caps for Brazil before, and he's showed some pretty good skill. So it'll be interesting to see where he fits in. How he kind of ends up working onto the field and how much time he actually sees. But another relatively big name, Andre Schürrle from Dortmund, is on loan to Fulham. And Fulham in the Premier League, they are in the Premier League this year. And so it's going to be interesting to see Andre Schürrle. I'm sure he's probably going to get some time starting, see how he does in the Premier League. This is a player that at one point in time was huge for Germany. And at this point in time, he's kind of moving into the later parts of his career. But, it'll be good to see him kick the ball around in England, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm glad that Fulham's back in the Premier League. I like their grounds there. It's good to see him back, and I think it's a good addition for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone with that kind of experience and quality, that's going to be good for any team, really.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
Having that in the locker room, someone that's been around for a long time, that's played a huge role at the World Cup and has that kind of experience is going to really uplift a lot of the younger players. So Fulham, nice move on you. Good way to go out there and find some good experience with still quality, for sure. So very nice job. I didn't mention this last show. Maybe we should have brought it up, but Chelsea has signed from Napoli Jorginho, who I believe he's a Brazilian-born Italian international, though. He plays for Italy, born in Brazil, and this guy is supposed to be another kind of up-and-coming player to going into Chelsea, and we'll see what kind of teams in the Premier League that has so many big names. Finding a place to get on the field in general is very difficult, and so coming over from Napoli, taking that kind of step up into Chelsea, although Napoli is a good, they're a good team in their own right. Not to say that they're terrible or anything. They're very good, but Chelsea and the Premier League play a pretty good role for Chelsea. Any thoughts on that, Eric D?
Yeah, no, just to kind of piggyback what you're saying. It looks like Jorginho's definitely in the starting 11.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that and he wants to see him on the field with Chelsea. Thinks he can have some great playmaking abilities, and it's exciting to see what he does. I was playing some pickup the other day, and some of the Chelsea fans were pretty excited about it. So we'll see how it goes for them. The last transfer that we're going to talk about, it is Alphonso Davies, a 17-year-old star up at Vancouver, has a transfer fee that's going to end up about $22 million going over to Bayern Munich, one of the top teams in Europe. In the end, it's being reported that Bayern is going to spend about $22 million. So the transfer number itself, I think, was more like 13, 14, maybe 15, something like that. But all said and done with compensation and everything, it's about $22 million. So, what do you think about Alphonso Davies making his move over to Bayern next? He's going to finish the season out with Vancouver here in the MLS.
First of all, it's good news for MLS. This should be the blueprint for how they need to do stuff through the academy. Bringing in a player like Alphonso Davies came through Vancouver's academy, first team, and then sell him off to Europe for a high transfer fee if that's the case. And that's what MLS needs to do. They need to be exporting some of their younger, better players if they can. It's great to have some of these guys in the league, obviously, but yeah. if we're going to be importing players around the world, we need to be.
That's really, really big is that people don't understand the value of outgoing transfers for the MLS. Alphonso Davies is a huge talent, and we'll talk about his most recent game and some of the skill that he put on display. But having players go out of the MLS, what it does is it brings light to our league. It shows the rest of the world that there's talent in this league that teams like Bayern Munich are taking note of and actually taking action on. And so that is really, it's so big. So it's like losing one talent, but hopefully the rest of the world starts paying attention. And when someone like Vancouver comes calling, maybe they're able to get the ear of one of these bigger MLS. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, so I mean, for Alphonso Davies, he's a kid. He's a wonder kid, and it's this is a big move for him. I hope it works out. I mean, he's going from the Vancouver Whitecaps, a Canadian team in the MLS, to one of the super clubs of the world. So I just hope he doesn't get engulfed and take a smaller step to Europe. You go to maybe a smaller club before you go to one of the big super clubs. But yeah, I mean, I hope the best for him. Obviously, it's a good advert for the MLS. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to see him obviously he's going to finish the rest of the season with Vancouver, so that means at least until October, I believe he'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on how Vancouver does in the season, if they get in the playoffs, could be with him longer. So, I mean, he's going to be joining Bayern Munich in the thick of the Bundesliga season already.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he fights for first team minutes, if he's even going to be in the first team rotation, or they're going to loan him out. I don't know what the plans are there. So it's going to be interesting to watch that, because I'd hate for him to get lost in the mix and this might.
And when you look at their roster right now, I mean, they're absolutely stacked, of course. I mean, that's one of the things that is so something that you take note of when you look at this team. Bayern is absolutely stacked. So Alphonso Davies going over there, you have to remember this kid is 17 years old. He's a young kid taking a huge step. And I think that Bayern obviously is taking that into account, because look, Robin, Ribéry, these players who have been around for a long time, that are still, some of the best in the world, Bayern has to be looking into the future. And going after a 17-year-old is showing that. Maybe he's not necessarily going to be getting on the field. He shines. And, whether or not he goes out on loan and plays elsewhere in Europe, just getting that experience being 17 years old, who knows, what he's going to be by the time he's 21, 22 years old, playing in a system like Bayern, right?
Yeah.
So we're definitely, big to Vancouver Whitecaps and their system, as you said. Homegrown player coming up, getting first team minutes, and again, we're going to look at the most recent match he had and highlight some of the stuff he's doing. But other than that, these were kind of like the biggest transfer news that's been going on. Of course, there's all kinds of rumors in the bank. The rumors can just fly all over the place. You could say anything's going to happen, and so
the player's holding up the jersey.
Yep, that's right. Which I believe, as you said a couple weeks ago, you hadn't seen Ronaldo holding the jersey. Have you seen that yet? Did you see the?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So it's real. Just so you know.
It's real. Tell me.
Yeah, it's definitely real.
I think you're forgetting your favorite Swiss guy there. Maybe
Oh, well, of course. I mean, we actually mentioned it last week. We mentioned we did mention Shaqiri last week, and we're going to be talking about Shaqiri's debut for Liverpool. If you did not see that, it was a friendly, and we'll get into it in a minute here, but Liverpool and Manchester United, it's pretty cool. But we'll get into those details here in a few minutes, okay? Eric, do you got anything else before we start getting into the review of some of these games this last week?
No, sir. Ready to move on.
All right, let's do this. All right, folks, we are going to get into our review over these games that happened this last week. We're going to be mainly highlighting Major League Soccer, the MLS. We'll be touching on a couple of the highlights of any other games that were kind of going on in the ICC or anything like that. But we're going to start off with way back. This is all the way back to last week. We're going to go over...
all the way back.
Yeah. Oh, way back on Wednesday the 25th. We're going to be talking about Philadelphia and Houston. This game took place at 8 p.m. Central. Philly and Houston. Eric D., go ahead and take it away. Tell us about this game a little bit.
Like how you're breaking down like the time it happened and everything.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
People need to know. People need to know.
Yeah, hey, that's correct. You know, I mean, Philly won 3-1. I feel like some of these matches are just kind of ho-hum. Like Houston took the lead, Philly equalized, and then there was a red card to Tomas Martinez, and like whether the red card was merited or not, some say it was kind of a soft red because supposedly, like, the ref said he stomped on the player or raked him, and it looked like from the replay that might not have been the case. My thing is, as a ref, when you give a red card, I think you need to be certain without a shadow of a doubt. Maybe he was, because red cards change games. Like, you're basically, I mean, you're taking a player off from Houston, and from the 59th minute on, they have to play a man down. And after that, I mean, Philly just takes control of the game, and they win, as usually should happen when you're playing with a man up. So I just, I think when cards happen, like red cards like that, it's like they change games. And sometimes I understand the refs have to make the call, but yeah, it's unfortunate. So, I mean, Philly gets out of Houston with 3 points.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that anytime there's a red card being given, it should definitely be something that the ref is absolutely sure about. So, but either way, like you said, Philadelphia with the win, 3-1. Let's go ahead and let's move on. The next game we're going to talk about was the Seattle Sounders taking on the San Jose Earthquakes. The real highlight about this game was Seattle Sounders' new acquisition, Rui Diaz, getting his first goal. It was a pretty spectacular goal, quite frankly. I thought it was a lot of skill. Eric D., why don't you take us through a little bit of this game?
Yeah, it was a nice strike by Rui Diaz, opening up his MLS account. Yeah, it's not a great advert for MLS in some of these matches. Kind of ho-hum once again. Seattle, it goes to San Jose and gets the 3 points, which is good for Seattle because I feel like Seattle's kind of making a surge, a late push to try to get into the playoffs. Like I believe they did the last season and maybe the season before that. I don't know. Seattle kind of slow starting. San Jose is, I feel like they're a dumpster fire. I don't know what's going on with San Jose. There might be a mutiny going on there with the manager and everything. And, it's something to definitely keep an eye on what's going on because San Jose always seems to be going down.
Yeah,
there.
Further and further south. Yeah, and we'll talk about them again here in a little while. But again, as you were saying, Rui Diaz is really the only highlight of this game. These were two bottom-level teams in the MLS right now. Seattle Sounders being 10th in the Western Conference currently. San Jose being in the bottom of the Western Conference currently. After these next few games, obviously, too. But yeah, it's San Jose's interesting situation. We'll keep our eye on that, as you were saying. But let's move on to the other game that happened back on the 25th. This actually did have something of note. This was pretty exciting. The New York Red Bulls took on DC United. And the big thing of note is this is Bradley Wright Phillips getting his 100th career goal in the MLS. And obviously everyone's got to say that he thought this out a little bit. He had that number 100 jersey underneath, which quite frankly, man, I was all about that. I thought it was awesome, man. Like, take off that other jersey. You know, he's got 99 on the back of his jersey already. He takes that thing off. He's got 100. That's pretty tight. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, but it was like he had to have done that for the very first time, and yeah, he scores his 100th goal, so we tip our hat to him. You know, Bradley Wright Phillips is kind of a classic poacher. I hope no one takes offense to me saying that, but I mean, I think he scored most of his goals, if not almost all of them, within the box. So
yeah. Hey, you know what?
Yeah,
like, we always talk about this. We always talk about it. You know, poach or not. You know, people can hate on that, but the reality is this guy is putting in 100 goals in the MLS. So, and actually, you know what? He's shown so much skill on the ball other than just poaching that you just can't hate, man. Like, what's really funny about this whole situation, though, is the fact that everyone was asking, like, this guy was obviously wearing 2 jerseys the entire game. Which is, like, he tucked that white jersey in, played the entire game with 2 jerseys on. He felt like he knew he was going to win, and especially because he's playing DC, who's the bottom team in the Eastern Conference. It's kind of funny. It's kind of a little bit of a slap in the face, but at the same time, it was more about him. It wasn't really about DC. So,
hey, man, it's swag. That's swag right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
swagger is real.
Moving forward, the very next day, there were a couple of games that happened. This was Thursday, the 26th. The first game that happened on the 26th was NYCFC took on Orlando City SC. This is the, kind of like the expansion little rivalry that's happening here. Why don't you take us through a little bit about this game?
This is another match that ended up having a red card. I mean, it really, I guess, didn't affect proceedings that much, but it happened towards the later stages of the game. New York City FC went down to Orlando and, got a, kind of business-like result with the 3 points away. And Orlando is another team that is struggling. They have a new manager, and this is another result that doesn't go their way. They didn't really look good at all, and New York City FC was just too much for them.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
I mean, NYCFC is near the top of the tables right now. They're in second place in the Eastern Conference. Orlando City, as you said, new manager. They're it seems like they're struggling to get a hold of. It's like they're struggling to stay consistent and be able to power through a whole game, which we'll get into that here in a little while.
I don't know what their identity is. I don't know what Orlando City's trying to do.
They bring Sasha Kljestan over, and Sasha Kljestan is a great player, but one player like that isn't going to change everything. Kaká leaving Orlando City at the end of his career, he definitely started that franchise off with some life, and he was exciting to watch in Orlando City, and it looked like something that was going to be extremely fun. And you know what, Orlando City's got a great fan base. I have to give them props for that, and so you gotta at least tip your cap to that. But I mean,
that's what's unfortunate about it, is that they have a great fan base and the team just can't live up to that great support.
Absolutely.
Like, they've yet to make the playoffs, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this season.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, it's not looking good for Orlando City for sure. But, okay, getting into the other game, this was a big game for both you and I, us being LA Galaxy fans. El Trafico, round 2. LAFC takes
Numero
on.
dos.
Yeah, that's right. It takes on the LA Galaxy. This time it was at LAFC. So we have that away game from the Los Angeles Galaxy.
The bank.
Yeah, that's right. At Bank of California Stadium, and the atmosphere at this game was great. I mean, it was from the beginning, from before the game. Everything going on with this game is it's what you want in the MLS. You know, all these other games that kind of took place, this Houston Philly game, these games are a little bit lackluster. I mean, fine. It is what it is. And if you look around the entire world, quite frankly, it's not like you're going to be getting every single game as an amazing game. So it's destined to happen that you're going to have a couple games that are a little bit lackluster. But this game, take us through a little bit of this. You know, we have the Los Angeles rivalry, and I feel like, of course, I think this goes without saying that this is now the real rivalry in Los Angeles. You know, Los Angeles, the Galaxy had Chivas USA, years back that was trying to make I don't know, it was like almost like a manufactured rivalry there. This one, it's real. And you can see that it's real. So, Eric D., take us through a little bit of this game.
Yeah, it seems more authentic. Let me start by saying I hope that this rivalry will only grow in intensity. But as I say that, I hope that it doesn't get ugly, as there seem to have been some events in this last match around the stadium. LAFC's front office decided only to give 100 tickets to away supporters. Hopefully those allotments will grow in the future, because I think, when these derby matches, Clásicos happen, it's good to have, away support there. You feel the intensity. It's a war, it's a battle out there. So hopefully that'll work out in the future where more away support will be allotted tickets, because it's good for the game. It's good stuff. But getting back to the match, LAFC, just like in the first meeting, jumped out early on the Galaxy. And I must say, Carlos Vela's goal, the first goal, he shouldn't be winning that header. But LA Galaxy's defense has proven to us time and time again that they're pretty soft, and he's able to put them ahead. I mean, the guy that crossed the ball to Vela, what is his name?
Diomande.
Diomande, he was able to run it down, and nobody chased out to mark him or anything. You just give a guy just all the time in the world to just kind of pinpoint his pass. That was frustrating right there if you're a Galaxy supporter, as we are. And Lee Nguyen's free kick to make it 2-0 was a very well-placed free kick. It seemed like it caught the broadcast off guard. He took it quickly, and I feel like it maybe caught everybody off guard besides Lee Nguyen. And so, yeah, they went into the half up 2-0, and yeah, it was looking like more of the same from the first game. What were your thoughts, Stevie Mac?
Well, I have to definitely echo some of the things you were saying. Number one, Carlos Vela winning that header was ridiculous. Okay, you have Michael Ciani, who is just a massive dude, standing in the middle of the box. The ball is coming directly at him, and he doesn't attack the ball. Carlos Vela, with his experience, just squirms around him, jumps right in front. There's no way he should be winning that. And as you said, no one chases out to challenge Diomande on his cross. Completely ridiculous. So when it comes to a defensive standpoint for the LA Galaxy, it's just shameful. Okay. we're going to continue
no doubt.
talking, and we're going to continue talking about that's unfortunately a reoccurring theme for the LA Galaxy this year. But at least in this game, you know, lead win, you have to say, great strike, catches people off guard, but still the skill to, you know, hit that and have that drop in that bottom left hand corner. Great strike, you know, but again, it just kind of shows that LA Galaxy's defense and everything that's going on there, they are left wanting, and something is definitely... I mean, LA Galaxy is not going to be getting away with this later in the year. No. So they better be figuring that out. But LAFC goes up 2-0. They go into halftime with this lead that they're feeling good about. The atmosphere at the stadium is huge. Let's skip ahead a little bit. We had a couple yellow cards here and there, but why don't you take us down to the last 10 minutes of this game, Eric D, and give me a little breakdown about some of the things that went down.
Speaking of which, of the yellow cards, it's interesting to note that all the cautions were given to the Galaxy, nothing to LAFC, which is kind of strange in a derby, a Clasico. Like, you know, was there really no LAFC fouls that merited a yellow card? I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to me. But, yeah, as the game progressed, the Galaxy got just kind of maybe just like the first match, got more and more control of the match in the second half and started to really put some more pressure on LAFC. To LAFC's credit, they could have put the game away. They've had a few chances there where they probably could have scored a third or fourth goal and put the game to bed, but they let the Galaxy start to crawl back into the game, and Zlatan plays kind of a cross into the box, and Roman Alessandrini is able to flash home the first goal for the Galaxy, which gave them some life. And
well, I have to highlight a couple things with this. As you were saying, Diamande had this chance right in the middle of the box, about 12 yards away. He gets the ball, does a beautiful turn again on Ciani. Ciani's just left looking like a fool, and he should have put this one away. It comes off the post, and in a way you feel bad for the guy. As Galaxy fans, you're saying, okay, thank goodness, but truthfully, it's just like so lucky for the Galaxy. Really, it's just so lucky. And honestly, like if you look at these next, things that go down, it's a defensive error for LAFC that allows Alessandrini to score this goal. Defensive error. Zlatan gets on the end of it, has a nice little bit of skill, pops the ball over you, and gives the defender a little bit of a sombrero. And then, he's crossing that ball in, and coming across the middle of the box, Alessandrini is the first one to that ball. I have to say, nice control by Alessandrini. Takes the ball down, puts on his weak foot, his right foot, and slots that home in the bottom left corner. So beautiful skill there. But you look at the second goal that went down, Ola Kamara was given a gift. And there was no... There was no reason for the pass that Orta sent. I don't even know. No one knows what he was doing. Maybe he was trying to get way back to the keeper. I have no idea what he was thinking. I mean, that must have been it. He must have been trying to hit it back to the keeper and just, didn't get it. But I don't know. Thoughts on that? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Andre Horta, what a debut. For LAFC. It's a classic what are you thinking moment. I think that's exactly what he was trying to do, hit it back to the keeper. It's at that point of the game, that's the last thing you do. You're in your half, it's 2-1, it's late in the game, you don't need to play a back pass like that. So, yeah, it was a gift. Like you said, Andre Horta almost made up for it. He hit the post later on in the game. So, he almost redeemed himself. But, yeah, it was an absolute gift. So, the Galaxy, very much like the first match, they've got to feel, luck has been on their side in these two matches. They were lucky to win the first one, lucky to draw this one. There's still one more to be played. I'm hoping that Bob Bradley has told LAFC, because supposedly he didn't tell his players or talk about the first match much about, not giving up these leads they've had. Need to see the match through, because LAFC's not had the mental ability to see these matches through to the full 90. And the Galaxy, it's got to be with Ziggy, like, guys, we can't let these guys score and jump on us so early where we have to play catch up the whole match.
Yeah,
not a recipe.
Well, I mean, the Galaxy this
success.
entire season seemed to be playing from behind. They seem to just be chasing the game the entire season so far. So, you're absolutely right. The coaching, both these coaches are very successful coaches. It's not like, these are two of the top teams in the Western Conference right now, currently number 2 and number 3 after the next couple games they played, or the next game they played, I'm sorry. And so the quality is definitely there. People are kind of talking about if LA Galaxy are kind of in LAFC's head a little bit, after giving up that huge loss in StubHub Center and that big debut for Zlatan coming out and scoring those 2 amazing goals to put the LA Galaxy in front. If you haven't seen that, please go back and check out El Tráfico #1, because that is... the debut for Zlatan is one of the biggest things that has happened in the MLS for a very long time. It was huge. So, exciting
Great
there.
theater.
But going back to this game, just silly mistakes for the defense of LAFC, giving up these 2 goals. I have to be honest with you, when Ola Kamara got that ball, I was a little scared that he was going to be missing that goal. He took a touch. He took a little roll with that left foot, and LAFC's defender Simon was coming down and closing that space very quickly, and Ola Kamara did slot it home and got it in there, and so he ties the game up, and it ends in a 2-2 draw, and LAFC's got to feel pretty bad about that. Hopefully they put it aside, like you were saying. But we have a 3rd edition coming up, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that game. I'm going to dig up the date of that game. I think it's late August. I'll look into the date of that game so everyone knows. But big stuff. You have anything to say to wrap that up before we move on to our next games?
Well, yeah, there were some people saying that maybe Tyler Miller needs to just commit a foul there. Just take the take Ola Kamara out to take the red card and figure it out from there. Like don't give up that goal.
Yeah. Well, I will give it. I will give a little bit of a shout out to Tyler Miller. He had a great save against Ola Kamara a little bit earlier in the game. So, good on him. But.
Yeah. What do you think there? Just to ask your opinion. Would you?
Yeah, you gotta take him out.
Would you condone that?
Yeah, you gotta take him out.
Yeah.
Professionally, there's no doubt. You have absolutely no one behind you and no one in front of you. So, what are you gonna do? Yeah. The ball is played into no man's land. It's basically on you. You have one chance to do one thing. You either play the ball or you play the player. It didn't seem like he was getting to the ball, so if you're thinking tactically, he should have taken him out. But hey, good for the LA Galaxy, and I guess fair play. I guess in a way, I don't know, but
yeah, it just would have been interesting to see what the talk would have been if that would have happened, because it's like the sportsmanship going in front of the face of smart tactical decision or something. That's the thing. It kind of, the thing that comes to my mind when you think about stuff like that is the 2010 World Cup with Uruguay versus Ghana, when Suarez had the handball, the blatant handball on the line to prevent Ghana from scoring. And he gets the red card, he gets kicked out, they take the penalty, they miss it, they go, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, some people say, like, oh, Suarez is a dirty player, that's so cheap. And then other people are like, wow, that's smart. That's how much, he wanted to win.
Yeah.
So I think there's two camps of thought on
I
that.
think that's always going to be kind of a debate that you go through if you look at plays like that. But, if Miller takes out Kamara right there, it gives the Galaxy a free kick as opposed to just a free run at goal. And so maybe you take the red card and you end up getting away with a win. People are going to look back at that and say, hey, we got 3 points.
Yeah.
Couple days, we get into Saturday, July 28th, and we have a full slate of games. And we're going to touch on the first game, which, again, I mean, if you haven't seen this guy play yet, I don't understand how Joseph Martinez is just, like, always in the right place right now. It's kind of weird. And we're talking about Atlanta United taking on the Montreal Impact. Joseph Martinez scores, and he scores 2 more. He scores 2 more. I mean, the guy already has a record for the most hat tricks, but he scores 2 more goals, and Atlanta ends up winning 2-1. Ignacio Piatti has a beautiful goal, by the way. He puts one in the upper 90 with power on his left leg. But, I mean, the real headline is Atlanta United. It's Joseph Martinez. Is anyone going to stop these guys? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Joseph Martinez is... he's like a goal machine, man. What does this bring his total up to now? Is he at, like, 23 or something?
Let me double check that. I think it might be 25. Let me look. Yeah, 24.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, 24. At this point, we've talked about it. Like, this guy is going to break the record. Barring any injury, God forbid, any of the stuff like that. I mean, he can't stop scoring goals. Like, it's just like he is allergic to not scoring goals or something.
He's like Chris Carter.
It's crazy.
All he does is score touchdowns, man. All Joseph Martinez is. All he does is score goals, man.
Score goals. Yeah, seriously. It's uncanny, like you said. It's uncanny how this guy has a nose for goal, and he's in the right place at the right time, and he's always making the right move or whatever he's got to do to set himself up. It's like,
one thing that I think is
unreal.
really people should pay attention to, if you're a young player out there, if you're trying to figure out what to do as a striker, Joseph Martinez is not a big guy. He's another smaller guy, and he puts himself in the places he needs to be. What's crazy is how many headers this guy is scoring. Like, this guy should not be scoring these header goals. It's crazy. I mean, you think Zlatan, okay, he's going to score a header. The dude's 6'5", obviously. He's going to tower over people. He's going to knock that ball into the back of the net with his head. Okay, done. But, you're looking at a player who is definitely, I mean, how tall is this guy? Like 5'8", 5'9"? I guess I would have to look that up. But the guy is not big at all. He's fast as hell, that's for sure. But he's putting himself in the right place, getting these header goals, totally insane. The second goal he scored was just totally poaching, just, standing in front of the net, balls pinging around, he ends up tapping it in, and that's fine. You're going to score those goals as a striker. But, Joseph Martinez, a huge year, 24 goals right now, plenty of games to play. The guy's going to blow the record out of the water. At this point in time, who knows how many he scores? Maybe he gets up to 35. I have no clue. But it's pretty insane right now. It's pretty insane.
It's desire. I mean, Joseph Martinez is just desiring to score and more than the defenders are desiring to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. By the way, he almost had that hat trick too. He almost had that hat trick. There was a rebound that came out off Evan Bush that he almost put another header in. And so that would have been just completely nuts. I think the last show we talked about how all he's got to do is score 2 more hat tricks and he's good. And he almost did it. I was like watching this game like, oh my God, he's like really going to do that. But anyway, okay, so moving on, I'm kind of bummed out about this next game. Yeah, you're right. Well, I'm kind of bummed out about this next game in a way. I mean, me being in Chicago, I've kind of claimed Chicago as my Eastern Conference team living here now. And, I got to be honest with you, the Chicago Fire they don't look good right now. They go down 3-0 to Toronto. And by the way, this is first time in a little while that these teams play back to back. So the last game was in Chicago. This game was in Toronto, and 3-0 Toronto goes up. And I mean, Chicago is just looking terrible. I mean, I don't really know too much to say about that. What do you have to say about this game?
Yeah, I mean, the class between the two teams is evident in the score line. I mean, Toronto has had a very hard go early on in this season. They've had a hangover from the championship from last season. I think also from the CONCACAF Champions League. I think the loss to Chivas de Guadalajara was gut-wrenching for the team. So they've taken some time to get back into MLS, and I feel like just like with Seattle, they're starting to slowly get things together and might make that run and sneak into the playoffs. Because I mean, Toronto is one of the deepest teams in the league. They've got talent all over the place, and man, if they can get it going, I mean, Toronto and Atlanta in the playoffs, yeah, sign me up. I want to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be very fun to watch. It's kind of crazy because, if you look back at this game too, though, we are looking at currently in the standings, Toronto's 10th in the Eastern Conference. And Chicago is 8th in the Eastern Conference. We're talking about separated by 1 point, 22 points for Toronto, 23 for Chicago. Chicago seems like they're on their way down, and Toronto seems like they're moving on their way up. Like you said, it could be very exciting in the playoffs to see Toronto if they make a big push. Man, that would be an exciting game to see Atlanta and Toronto with both those offenses.
Yeah. So, yeah, Chicago's just, it's not looking good for Chicago right now.
Yeah.
It's
unfortunate.
To say what's really ailing them there.
Yeah, absolutely. It is kind of hard to say. I don't really know exactly. I have to say that it doesn't look like they're going out there and playing with a lot of belief. I mean, it seems like they're going out there and they're kind of playing. I will say, you know what? I hate to throw a whole bunch of shade, but their goalkeeping has just been pretty horrendous, man. It's been bad. Yeah. It's not good. So I guess we'll see where Chicago ends up. Hopefully they kind of pull it out a little bit. They have a couple sparks here and there, but you never know. But moving on to the next game. Next game we're going to be talking about is we're now talking about above that red line, above the top 6. We're talking about the New York Red Bulls taking on the Columbus Crew, and this was much more exciting.
Yeah.
And take us through a little bit of this game. Go ahead.
Well, Columbus just jumped all over New York Red Bulls. I like the fact that Columbus went into New York and kind of took the game to the Red Bulls. And, it's exciting stuff. I mean, if you're a Columbus Crew fan, you want to see more of this. The Red Bulls tried to play catch-up there at the end because they were down 3-0 at one point. And obviously they fell short. But, you don't see many teams go into Red Bull Arena and kind of just take the game to the Red Bulls like that. I mean, they kind of played their game, and I was like, man,
Yeah.
Columbus looks really good.
I would totally agree with you. I think that the Columbus Crew are... it's interesting that last year they almost lost their team in Columbus. I mean, they almost move out of Columbus. Go ahead.
Truth be told, it's not a done deal. They still might lose their team.
That's
They're
true.
Still looking at Austin, so
I mean,
I hope it doesn't happen. #save the crew, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening, but the Columbus Crew are definitely making a good case to stay there. Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
But it ends up 3-2. Columbus Crew gets the win. Big ups to them. Absolutely. Surprisingly, we don't hear from Bradley Wright Phillips in this one. But moving on, we're going to talk about the next game we're going to go over is going to be the DC United taking on the Colorado Rapids. And hey, you know what, everybody? Yay! Wayne Rooney scores a goal. Whee!
Yay! And he breaks his nose.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. He breaks his nose. We got blood gushing, but he megged the keeper and scored a goal. So
he megged Timmy. Hey, I got to tell you a joke. So I don't know what this was on Twitter where I saw this, but someone made a comment about Wayne Rooney's bloody nose, and then they said that the same play would have decapitated Neymar.
Oh, dude, that's messed up.
That's so ruthless. Savage.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll get into some Neymar diving, I'm sure, in the future again, but...
wait, hold on. Speaking of Neymar, though,
okay.
Have you seen the commercial, the Brazilian commercial he's doing for Gillette?
No.
You haven't seen it.
I'll have to check it out.
If you haven't seen it, you got to go and see it. YouTube it. Neymar just released a Gillette commercial, that's the razors, where he's basically talking about, the perception of him and, what the critics think of him, and he's kind of admitting to some of the diving that he's done, but he's trying to be a changed man, and you got to watch it. It's interesting, a little kind of insight into Neymar. I mean, it's marketing. It's an advertisement in the end, so
Oh, well, I mean,
who knows how much of it's scripted.
Any press is good press, man. So, even the press from all this diving, whatever. Okay, so moving forward,
we digress.
Look, Wayne Rooney puts a goal away. Hooray. DC United have to be somewhat relieved here. Like, oh my goodness, the guy's actually going to be playing and scoring a goal. But you know what? I actually want to bring up Kellen Acosta's goal. So the Colorado Rapids, again, one of the bottom teams in the league right now. They're 11th place currently in the Western Conference. One place above San Jose, and they're not looking too good. Now, we talked about this transfer of Kellen Acosta going over to the Colorado Rapids. Kellen Acosta, in case you don't know, has gotten some caps for the U.S. men's national team. So he's not he's not a total flake. And the goal that he scored was absolutely beautiful. I will say Jack McBean sets him up beautifully. Jack McBean has a great hold-up play. Switches the play all the way across to the right side of the field. Jack McBean picked up the ball on the left side of the field, switches it on the ground, so Acosta didn't have to do too much. He's just making that late run, but the chip that he pulled off was absolutely a thing of beauty. He chips the keeper, and also one of the defenders from the United comes over. They try to head the ball out, and there had to be a foot and a half of space for this ball to go in.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely beautiful.
Perfect.
So definitely go back and take a look at that for sure. So moving forward into our next game we're going to be covering is going to be Dallas taking on Sporting KC. This was a hat trick for Barrios.
Barrios, man.
Little man
Had
coming through.
Game.
That's right. Why don't you take us through a little bit of this game?
Well, it was basically FC Dallas, aka the Michael Barrios show. Once again, just like with Columbus and Red Bull Arena, I mean, FC Dallas took the game to Sporting Kansas City and Children's Mercy Park. Is it Stadium or Sporting Park? Is that what they're calling it?
No, it's Park. It's Children's Mercy Park.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, once again, I mean, Sporting Kansas City is very good at home. So when a team comes in, I mean, granted, FC Dallas is at the top of the West right now, but they come in and they take it to Sporting Kansas City. So I mean, and Michael Barrios scored some good goals. I have to say I don't know if it was on the first goal or the second goal. Which goal exactly? But I mean, Tim Melia gets basically nutmegged for one of the goals, and I looked back at it and I'm thinking to myself, like, Tim Melia, you don't need to. I didn't feel like he should be out there. Like, he should have stayed home. Maybe that goal would have been prevented. He came all the way out, and I just didn't feel like it was needed.
Yeah.
I don't know, what are your thoughts, Steven?
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. He definitely should have stayed home. He had defense coming to help him out, but when it comes down to it, though, Barrios, hat trick. There you go. You're scoring 3. You're in the right place at the right time. You're making the right runs.
Boom.
He's beaten the defense to the ball. And I will say again, as you said before, Joseph Martinez wanting the ball more than the defense of the opposite team that they're playing. It was the same thing here. I mean, Barrios was the first one to the ball. Ike Opara, dude, bummer of a game for you, man. Like, you got beat badly twice, so no good there. But hey, we all have our bad games. So 3-2, Dallas gets the win. Good for them. Let's go ahead and let's move forward. We're gonna kind of I would say we're going to brush over these next 2 games. The next 2 games that I'm going to brush over is the San Jose Earthquakes and Real Salt Lake. 0-0 draw. I know, total sleeper. I mean, look, there was a couple chances here and there. They hit the post, blah, blah, blah. Okay, can we move on? 0-0? Good?
Yeah, we can move on.
All right, great. Okay, next game we're going to talk about
Sorry,
then.
San Jose and Real Salt Lake supporters.
Yeah, no love for you. No love for you. Okay.
There's nothing going on.
The next game we're going to talk about, and again, kind of brush over a little bit. There's a little bit more to talk about in this, but there's a couple beautiful goals in this. We have the Portland Timbers taking on the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, Blanco's first goal on the volley.
Man.
Yeah, come on.
But how about that cross?
Yeah.
I mean, and how about the run before that? And actually, how about the pass before that? Diego Valeri, sending the winger down the sideline, a perfect pass right into the run. Homeboy, I don't remember who actually made the assist, but do you remember who actually had that assist?
It was Powell.
Okay, Powell. So, yeah, that's right. So Powell takes a couple step overs, 3. He, takes one with his right, takes a little dribble, 1-2, gets DeMarcus Beasley to bite a little bit, and then sends that crossover. And hey, Sebastian Blanco, big ups on the volley. It was beautiful. Takes that on his left foot.
Yeah.
I mean,
class.
Most people are gonna sky that. 100%. Either totally whiff or send that thing 30 feet over the crossbar. But, he has the touch to be able to keep it down and slots that home. A beautiful goal. The second goal that happens in this game is the final goal for Fernando Adi for the Portland Timbers.
Yeah.
Just happens to be poaching. He's about the 6-yard box. Ball's pinging around. He ends up scoring this goal to put Portland ahead. Houston Dynamo scored in between. It was really a poor defensive play, and the last man cannot be tackled. And Portland gives up the ball, easy cross, across the box, and Houston scores a goal. But really, it's all about Fernando Adi scoring this last goal. A nice send-off for him before he goes over to Cincinnati, as we previously talked about. Anything else you want to tack on to the end of this game here?
No, just basically saying what you've already said, nice of Fernando Adi to go out that way. It's perfect. Like, you couldn't write it better, Scores the game winner, gets some 3 points. Peace and love, Portland. I'm off to Cincinnati. Good stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. So the next game we're going to talk about, and this was huge, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, about why, but we're going to talk about the Minnesota United taking on Vancouver Whitecaps. This was in Vancouver, and this is coming back to Alphonso Davies. If you remember from earlier in our show, this 17-year-old getting signed over to Bayern Munich in Germany. We got to talk about the skill of this kid and also the unselfish play of this kid. I mean, walk us through a couple of these things in this game, Eric D.
Well, Jordi Reyna scores the first goal, and he's assisted by Alphonso Davies. And I'm seeing here that Alphonso Davies was man of the match, obviously. He got a 9.7 rating. Like, I take it that's out of 10. So this guy almost played a perfect game. I mean, he assisted on 2 of the goals, and he scored 2 goals.
Yeah, totally nasty. Totally nasty.
Exactly. It's like this guy was all over the stat sheet, all over the field. He made Minnesota look stupid a few times. There was one play by Minnesota. I don't remember the player that did it. I don't know if you remember this part.
He threw the back heel. I don't remember.
Yeah, the back heel.
I mean, this was okay. We'll get after that because that was the second goal that Alphonso Davies scores. But look, let's walk you through this first one. Okay, so Alphonso Davies picks up the ball, starts dribbling directly down the middle of the field. Okay. And he's got about four defenders in front of him for sure. And he takes this beautiful fake shot on his left and just takes that roll right in. Oh, God. It was just so nasty to look at the timing on this. Please go back and watch the highlights on this. Look, if you go on YouTube and you just look up MLS highlights, look for Vancouver versus Minnesota. This game was on the 28th. You got to see this stuff. I mean, I was showing this to one of my boys at the pickup games, and this guy, he's from Mexico, pretty much like... Not saying that he hates on the MLS, just kind of like indifferent, like doesn't really know too much about the MLS. I started talking about Alphonso Davies, and I'm like, look, this kid, he's 17, just got signed to Bayern. Look, check out these highlights. These highlights are like 4 minutes long, okay? So you got the time. And he's sitting there, and we're sitting on the bench, like getting ready to play, and he's watching these highlights, and he's just like, oh, dang. Oh, dang. Oh, what? I mean, because it's beautiful the way Davies is playing. He makes the keeper. I mean, what else do you want, I mean...
Filth of the highest order.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Stu Oldham.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, look, the next assist he gets, he plays the ball to Kai Kamara. I mean... He could have taken on the defender one-on-one and probably could have smoked this dude too. But instead, makes a smart play, plays it perfectly across to Kai Kamara, who puts it home. But this is just a testament to how this kid actually understands that it's a bigger thing. It's about the team, but you also got to show out when it's time. And that kind of it really leads you into the last goal he scored, and why don't you take us through this last goal, because it was just
well, I'm still like trying to figure out exactly what he did. Like, I mean, his footwork is silky, and he's 17. I mean, this kid is, and the ceiling is like the sky right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're a Canadian soccer fan, you've got to be gushing right now.
Yeah.
Because Alphonso Davies is going to be the future of Canadian soccer, and it's bright right now. If they can get players like that, I'm hoping Canada can get on the world scene. It'd be great for CONCACAF. But Alphonso Davies, I mean, he takes it just right at them. Nice little move. He gets around a couple defenders, and I mean the dribbles just. I mean, you don't see that too often in MLS where a player's just feeling it like that. He just they can't get the ball off of him.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I don't remember the player on Minnesota that you were pointing out that put that back heel to nobody in the middle of the field. Yeah. But dude, like, go put a bag on your head, okay? Because you need to not be seen for some time. But like you could Andre Horta. Absolutely, man. Oh my goodness, those two need to be on like the worst team of the week kind of thing. If they had like a best team, these two dudes are on the worst team. Okay, so this guy gives up the ball with his terrible back heel right at the worst part of the field that you want to give it up. It's the top of the attacking third for Vancouver, and of course it rolls right to Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies takes this ball in, puts it on his left foot, and the move that you're talking about, what was great about it is that he just popped it up into space. So he's on his left foot, he's dribbling in from the right side of the field, he's got it on his left foot, and then he makes this cut directly into the 18-yard box, and when he does that, he just pops the ball up with his left foot. It goes right over the leg of the defender. He takes 2 steps and splits 2 defenders, and then with that left foot, he puts it into the upper 90 on the, and it's just a beautiful strike. To make the dribble is one thing, but then to also finish the way he did truly shows class, and that's what Bayern is looking at, and that is what the world is going to be looking at. And I really hope the best for this kid. So, big ups. We're really excited about that for Vancouver and for the MLS. But a brief intermission with some ICC action on this same day, this Saturday. In the ICC, Manchester United took on Liverpool. This is a friendly, so it didn't really count for anything. But Eric D, why don't you walk us through one of the biggest moments of this match?
Shaqiri decided that he would make his debut for Liverpool, and he would order up some filth, like straight just filthiness. I mean, the chilena, as they say, bicycle kick was just world class. Like I guess everybody's trying to do bicycle kicks more. Like, we're really trying to bring it back. Like people are just making this like a nonchalant thing. I'll just score a bicycle kick.
It's
ridiculous.
I would totally agree with you. The amount of nasty bicycle kicks we've seen in the last 4 months is ridiculous.
I'll be honest with you. I don't have the confidence to pull off a bicycle kick. I've always I think about it, and I think I'll hurt myself when I think about it. So I don't even dare to try it. I don't know what you do, Stevie Mac, but when I see bicycle kicks, I'm like, whoa, that's. I don't know if there's a harder goal to score.
Well, yeah, I've definitely given him a shot. I have yet to score one, but I will keep trying. And
you realize in those moments, damn, these pros make this look easy.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, these guys are absolutely at the top of their game. But look, this was a friendly, so it didn't count for anything per se. But hey, if this is anything that Shaqiri can do, it just really goes to show the depth that Liverpool is trying to build right now. I mean, the competition in the midfield is going to be absolutely insane, and that's what you want. Take a look at our next games. The next game was on Sunday. We're looking at the Seattle Sounders taking on NYCFC. Eric D, why don't you walk us through a little bit of this game?
Christian Rodon got the first goal. Seattle... be honest with you, the scoreline surprised me. I mean, granted, it was played in Seattle, but this is going back to what I said earlier. Seattle's slowly starting to get it going here, and it's a good thing if you're a Seattle supporter. NYFC, they kind of lay an egg here. But, I mean, it's to be understood. I mean, they just played on Thursday, and they also had to make a cross-country trip from Orlando. So,
right.
But, man, Stevie Mac, one word for you. Goose. What is... Man, what a shot, man. He unleashed a rocket.
Yeah,
Goose
absolutely.
with the second goal. That was good stuff from them. And I mean, Seattle, they're kind of in that mode where they need to get points. They need to get 3 points, where every time out almost, it feels like. And they took care of business. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Stevie Mac?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is going back to Seattle kind of getting it together. It looks like they're starting to put something together. They're starting to look a little bit stronger. We were talking about this in the last episode, how some people like to poo-poo the MLS a lot because of the fact that you can make these late season runs, end up getting into the playoffs, and then making a name for yourself that way. But, hey, if that's the game, play the game, right? And so, hey, these guys are starting to make a little bit of, they're starting to get a little bit more cohesive. We're starting to see some better play, and it seems like they're really starting to settle into their roles. So, hey, watch out, Western Conference. Seattle, they've had a storied history already. And these guys, it's not like they're going to roll over. And there's plenty of time left to make this push. So Seattle's looking good, man. It's gonna be interesting to see where they end up. It's gonna be interesting to see if they push some of these teams out of the way and they're able to squeak into the playoffs. So we'll see. Moving on, the most recent game in Major League Soccer, the most recent is gonna be. This thing was crazy. This game was absolutely insane. This was.
Bonkers.
Yeah, totally ridiculous. So the LA Galaxy take on Orlando City in Los Angeles at the StubHub Center. It's back and forth the whole game. Eric D., you were at this game. I'm so jealous that you were at this game, man. I really wish that I would be able to be there with you. The atmosphere just must have been insane as LA is making their push. Why don't you take us through this game and give us a little reminder about how fun this game was?
Well, the atmosphere was great. It was a lot of fun. Went with my brother and a buddy of mine, and I'm going to give you a hot take, and I'm sure this is going to be really original right now.
But Dave Romney, oh, God, dude, he just... The pace on this guy is just not enough for what Orlando City was throwing at him, and which is sad, because it's not like Orlando out of position, just totally getting burned. Michael Ciani, what's going on, man? Like...
Yeah, I've told you this. I feel like the times I've seen Michael Ciani a few times now, and I just feel like I don't know what Ziggy's seeing in this guy, or really, I mean, you can honestly say about any of the back line. I mean, sometimes in front of them that could play some form of defense.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Galaxy would be up there with favorites in the league if they had any form of defense. But right now, it's just like, once you get past the midfield, it's like there's almost no one in front of you.
Well, I mean, truth be told, there's issues throughout the squad.
This is true.
I mean, the only two players I feel like that ball out, that bring the passion. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic is balling out. Mm-hmm. He's come here. He's scoring goals. I mean, I think he's second in the league right 15, now. 15. Yeah, 15 goals, right? Like this. I mean, we kind of predicted this. We had talked about this before it had happened. You had asked me, what's Zlatan's impact going to be, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's going to be like Didier Drogba. Like, I don't see why it couldn't be like that. Right. He's going to tear it up, and that's what he's doing. And the other player is my favorite player on the Galaxy is Roman Alessandrini. Yeah. Other than that, I saw things at this match that concerned me. I know some people like Jonathan Dos Santos. They like Giovanni Dos Santos. I kind of feel like, especially with Gio scored the first goal. What I noticed at the game, he didn't celebrate. It was an equalizing goal. It was kind of surprising. I don't know if the man's injured or he's not feeling things. Like, something seems to be off there. His body language is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Both, I know there's echoes with the supporters that Gio and Johnny are not giving enough or not doing enough. I mean, I just saw a stat where Johnny actually played a very good game against Orlando, and people were saying that he's underappreciated. I don't know. I just don't see enough from those two, and I haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe you what are your thoughts, CD Max, on the Galaxy, right, as we're kind of doing this deep dive on them?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at it, I will agree with you. Zlatan and also Roman Alessandrini, these guys are bringing the passion. I will give a little bit of shout out to Chris Pontius. I think Chris Pontius is doing his best. I mean, this guy is definitely coming in trying to make an impact on the game. But as you were saying, both the Dos Santos brothers, I mean, look, they're getting on the ball, okay? Jonathan Dos Santos is getting on the ball. He's making some good tackles. He's, distributing the ball okay. He's given up a few possessions here and there, but, everyone does, so you can't totally hate on that. Gio, as you were saying, I mean, you're right, man. The body language isn't the same. He had a chance at a second goal. He had a chance off the crossbar. He took it on his left foot, and unlucky for him that it bounced out. But you're right, man. I mean, you look at kind of the way he's been playing. It's not the same as last year or 2 years before, definitely. But he's not looking the same, and I don't know exactly what it is yet. I don't know if it's still this kind of injuries thing hampering him at all. It doesn't really seem like it. So I'm not sure. I don't know how he's gonna. Maybe he doesn't like his current role. I have no idea. We'll definitely have to look into that. But I mean, the big thing that you gotta look at this game is Orlando City going up 1-0. Christian Higuita, he's just making an easy run all alone. I mean, what's even happening in the Galaxy defense there? Who knows? But he puts an easy one away. Gio gets, as you said, he gets the equalizer, but honestly, it was kind of a soft goal. I mean, he dribbled a little bit into space and he took it on his weak foot. And honestly, I think he got a little bit fortunate there. I think he almost didn't even think he was going to score that goal. So, there it goes. Michael Ciani has an own goal. He is just out of position, running back towards his goal, and gross.
Like I made this comment that if you had made that goal on the opposing goal, everyone would be like, "Wow, what amount of skill that was!" Like, that was a good. Like, you try to score a goal like that when you want to score a goal and you can't pull it off. And this guy scores an own goal like that. It's like, oh my god, it's unlucky, but
definitely unlucky. But okay, so Orlando goes back up, so now 2-1, and then Zlatan shows up, and hey, man, Gio got an assist. I will say that he puts the ball across beautifully, and Zlatan just overpowers everyone. A beautiful header, and at this point in time, you're kind of like, man, this game is getting nuts. We're 47 minutes in. It's 2-2, and it's just feeling like the game's starting to ramp a little bit. It's just feeling like it's starting to get a little bit crazy. And sure enough, a couple minutes later, Dom Dwyer. I mean, if Zlatan hadn't scored again, this might have been the goal of the match. I mean, Dom Dwyer's header was absolute fire. I mean, he just powered that thing into the back of the net. I don't know.
But it's I mean, it's a great header, but you just, all you can think about is
the garbage that's going on in the back line of the LA Galaxy.
Does anybody want to body this guy? Does anybody want to like I think if I'm an opposing team, I'm just like, yo, just send in some crosses.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to head it out, and they'll give you free headers.
This kind of
so bad,
this kind of play is just not going to get you through in the playoffs. It doesn't matter how many goals you score.
Oh.
I mean, you're not going to be able to keep up when it comes down to it. So, look, the score is now 3-2. Orlando's up, and now it becomes a Zlatan show. I mean, Olo Kamara finally gets Zlatan back with an assist. Diving header from Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but quite frankly, I mean, that was for a guy like Zlatan and his amount of talent, it was kind of a piece of cake. Honestly, it was a beautiful service, and basically he just leaned forward is really what happened, and it was a perfect header right into the back of the net. No doubt it takes talent, but it wasn't that to me wasn't the most impressive goal that Zlatan scored by any means. But it, again, ties the game up. We're at 3-3. And at this point in time, you have this feeling like it's all Galaxy now. And sure enough, momentum is just flying with the Galaxy right now. And Zlatan gets this last goal. The last goal was pretty tight. He brings the ball down off his chest and takes this volley. And again, this was like all skill, all power. No one is stopping that. Bottom left-hand corner. Beautiful goal. You have anything that you want to point out with this?
I mean, I think the feeling is that after this, it's 4-3. There's still 20 minutes in the match. No one's resting easy with this defense.
Yeah.
It's not a recipe that the Galaxy can keep. They keep going to the well. This trying to come back from behind well, which they've done several times this season, and it's just like eventually it's going to happen where the other team's going to get up on them, and they're just going to go up against better opposition. It's not going to let them back into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're a Galaxy fan or you're watching any of these games, you obviously, again, have to point at the defense. You have to look at the defense for the LA Galaxy. And beyond that, you got to look at the coaching staff. Like, Ziggy, what's up, man? Like, you obviously know the defense is wanting. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing here. Like, he trotted out basically the same 11 that saw LAFC on Thursday. Like, the only difference was Roman Alessandri was suspended due to yellow card accumulation. So
guaranteed he would have been playing, though.
Yeah, I think Chris Pontius started in his place. So it's like, I mean, it was nice to see the starting 11, like those players. I was wondering who I'd actually, but when you look at it, like, man, that's a quick turnaround. And I just, there's some players there that, I feel like that back line, they probably should have rotated some players there. Like they're not that good.
So here's the problem. If you're talking LA Galaxy, like, who are you bringing on that's going to be doing any better? I mean, it's pretty rough.
It's a valid point, but like I want to see, like, they had. Daniel Stairs was in the 18. Shannon Williams was in the 18. I mean, those are both defenders.
Yeah.
They're the rookie. Can't think of his name right now. Arce.
Hilliard Arce. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to give him a run. Like, what's going on there? Like, I know he's a rookie, and I guess maybe training's not going as well for him, where he's even getting an 18 or obviously not seeing any starting time. But it's like, like, you're just gonna run these guys, these four guys, this back line, like, into the ground, and they're not even that good. Like,
right. Well,
you got to do some squad rotation sometime.
Well, maybe Ziggy was kind of thinking that he kind of knew there was a little bit of a break coming up, so maybe you just want to push this his top players to the end. I don't know, but just to kind of wrap up this last week in the MLS. Just looking at a couple of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, you got Atlanta United, Joseph Martinez, absolute fire going on right there. They're at the top with 47 points, but not far behind NYCFC with 43. So they're within striking distance, and they actually have a game on Atlanta United. Atlanta has played 23, NYCFC has only played 22. So, there's a race over there going on in the Eastern Conference, not to mention the third place team right now is the New York Red Bulls with 41 points. So if you look at the top three in the Eastern Conference, it's looking pretty strong. When you move over to the Western Conference, not quite as strong when it comes point-wise, but some interesting stuff going on. So you have FC Dallas at the top of the Western Conference right now with 42 points. They've only played 21. And then right after that, you have both LA teams. So LAFC with 36 points and the LA Galaxy with 35 points, rounding out the top three there in the Western Conference. And you have to say the LA Galaxy have made a huge push. They started off the season pretty poorly, and, it's of course because of that defense, but now they're making a big push, mainly because they're scoring so many goals. I don't think, again, like we were talking about, that's going to last, but the Western Conference is a little bit tighter in this regard. You have Portland right beneath the Galaxy with 34 points and Sporting KC with 33. So, I mean, that's like a total toss-up right now. Is there any team on either one of these conferences that you're keeping an eye out for, that you're excited to see move forward, or that you're interested in their storyline?
Well, I mean, if you look in the West, Portland has got games in hand on pretty much everybody in the West. They've only played 19. They're in fourth place, so they're going to definitely be making the push to get up to the top of the West. LAFC, as they continue their first campaign, I mean, they have a U.S. Open Cup game coming up against Houston. It'll be interesting to see how that goes as they're trying to juggle MLS play and the U.S. Open Cup play. FC Dallas, they're number one right now, but they have faded before. I mean, they had a horrible collapse last season. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes for them. And if the Galaxy can sustain this, because it's, winning games by shootout is just not a recipe for championships.
No, absolutely not. Yep.
So, in the West, in the East, it's definitely the stronger conference in the league. It's going to be a tight race, at least between, it looks like, both New York teams and Atlanta, probably for the Supporter Shield.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. Right now, I feel like it's Atlanta United FC and everybody else.
Yeah.
They're kind of the class of the league, as obviously evident in their points as their top for the Supporter Shield. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so moving forward and just kind of looking into the future a little bit, the next big thing that's happening in the MLS is, of course, the MLS All-Star Game. MLS All-Stars are going to be taking on Juve, who's coming over from Italy. It's going to be pretty exciting to see the MLS All-Star Game. I mean, what are your thoughts about the All-Star Game? Do you think it's a big enough spectacle? What do you think?
Well, it's definitely a spectacle. I don't know how well it is perceived around the world. I mean, that's the reason why they bring these big teams, is because of the draw. Because Juve is in preseason, they come over. It's good for them for publicity here in the States. Everybody loves it here in the States because they get to go see a team like Juve that they might not normally see, and they get to play against MLS opposition. So there's this the barometer effect of seeing how we stack up against some of the best teams in the world. But with that being said, it's a friendly. It's not for anything. So, I mean, some of the players, Juve's in preseason. The MLS players are like, I don't want to get hurt in this. It's kind of like, let's just kind of go out here. And, these players only get like a few training sessions together before they get thrown out there. So chemistry and all that's kind of out of whack. So these games, sometimes the MLS does very well in, and other times they've gotten straight shellacked.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a mixed bag. Me personally, my idea for the MLS All-Star Game, what I'd like to see is a collaboration with Liga MX, and have an All-Star Game with them. So Liga MX gets their All-Star team together, their best team, and we get ours, and we do something that will, I think that would feed into the U.S.-Mexico rivalry, and I think that would be great.
Yeah, I would agree with you with that for sure.
Stage? Maybe not.
Yeah, I think on the global stage, probably not so much. And I think that's like the angle that the MLS is trying to take with this, obviously, bringing these bigger clubs in from around the world. So, I get where the MLS is going with this. It's almost like big picture kind of thing. As far as like game quality goes, I would agree with you. I think that if there was like a Mexico, Liga MX All-Stars and MLS All-Stars going head-to-head, I think you'd see definitely a little bit more passion in the game. But, again, it would still be a friendly is the thing. So, both of the squads still aren't going to ball out as hard as they could. So, All-Star games seem to be like a uniquely American thing.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know, man. It doesn't. I've yet to see. Well, no, you know what? I gotta say this. It's exciting because U.S. soccer fans get to go out, and as you said, they get to see some of these bigger clubs from around the world. Even if they're not starting their starting 11, it draws people to the game. And the more people that we get to the game, the better for U.S. soccer. So, I mean, in a way, I get it. But, hey, look, players like Zlatan are pulling themselves out because they realize, like, hey, I don't want to hurt myself. I just played 2 90s in a row, LAFC, and then this crazy game against Orlando City. So, I'm not trying to kill myself. So there's definitely a little bit of kind of weirdness going on there, but hey, we'll see how it goes. I mean, the thing is like, I'm gonna tune in. Like, I'll still watch.
Yeah, same here. I mean, the attraction, I think, for some people is that they want to see how MLS players, the MLS All-Star team does against some of the biggest clubs in the world. There's always the us versus them mentality.
Yeah. Well, okay, so kind of wrapping this up a little bit here. Thank you again for listening. This is All Soccer All Day. I just want to point out a couple things. Number one, look, folks, we are not very far away. We are just around the corner from the Premier League's opening game. This is going to be on August 10th. It's a Friday. It's going to be very exciting to have the Premier League back. Everyone is talking about this year. You have Manchester United taking on Leicester City. It's the first game, and you know what? It's going to be so exciting to have this league back in full action. Not to mention Ligue 1. I think that's how you say it. The French league is going to be starting the same day, and
Ligue 1.
Yeah, Ligue 1. And then following the next week, La Liga starts as well. So you have all the major leagues from around the world are going to be coming together and going to be starting. So we're going to have a lot to talk about other than just the MLS. So we're looking forward to that. Eric D, do you got anything else that you want to, kind of cap off with this episode today?
No, I think that about wraps it up. So yeah, guys, like always, enjoy the games, enjoy the All-Star game if you're into that, and don't hate.
Yeah, please, don't hate.